What's up everyone, my name is Mateo, Docarmo, aka Chef Booty, and in honor of Diabetic Awareness Month coming to an end, I am going to give my personal tips on how I controlled my diabetes and how I got my A1c to what it is today. I will go over that later, but I do want to kind of give a little more awareness to some people who might not have it. To some people, everything I will say in this video might be common sense, but to a lot of other people it might help them change their life, it might help them get their diabetes under a lot better control, or it just might help them overall get healthier. So that's the object of today's video. So first thing I'm going to go over is the personal, in my opinion, most important thing, which is diet. Now, even if you're not suffering from diabetes or if you don't have it, it can still be important because it's going to help avoid personal diseases such as diabetes, high cholesterol, all those sorts of things. So I'm going to go over the diet and what I found that helped me control my blood sugars and get it much more leveled out, which helped me get the A1c to what it is today. Now, I'm no dietitian whatsoever, so I'm just going to give pretty much the overall basis of the subject. There are 3 different macronutrients. There's proteins, fats, and carbs. So if you're trying to be a bodybuilder or if you're trying to be a fit guy, you will probably be counting these in your diet. But as a normal diabetic, all you got to worry about is the carbs. I am personally trying to be a bodybuilder. I am trying to be the fit lifestyle, so I do count all these 3 nutrients. But when it comes to diabetes, the only thing that really matters the most is the carbs. So that's what we're going to make the main focus on today. But I'll still go over everything else so you can try to get your diet under a little better control if you're looking to do so. So I'll start with the first one, the proteins. Now, very simple. There's lean proteins and there's fatty proteins. That doesn't mean you can't go enjoy yourself a steak or enjoy yourself whole eggs. I eat whole eggs every single morning. But the majority of my proteins throughout the day does come from the lean sources, and I will have these once a day or twice a day, or sometimes I'll have a steak like once a week. But the proteins I will stick to for the most part are fish, chicken breast, turkey, tofu, egg whites, and pork chops with no fat. I sometimes do pork chops, that's one of the ones I'm iffy on, but I will trim the fat off of it if I do have them. And beef, steak, and whole eggs, those are the ones higher in cholesterol, so that's why you want to try to stick away from them. Especially as a diabetic, your cholesterol is way more bound to get up super high, and that just leads to heart attack or stroke. So extra cautious when you do enjoy those. Make sure you are getting your blood test so you can see if your cholesterol is high, then you need to completely lay off of those. Now, for the next macronutrient, we have the fats. So fats, just because you're eating fats doesn't mean you're going to get fat added onto your body. Fats does a lot for your body. It's a very important part of your diet, and that's a big thing people don't understand. So there are healthy fats and there's bad fats. You always want to aim for the healthy fats. So examples of healthy fats are nuts, avocado, extra virgin oil, cheese, which I'm very iffy on. I personally don't use too much cheese just because it is a dairy product. Dairy does bloat you. If you're okay with cheese, then I mean, go for it. I personally try to limit that to once a week. There's chia seeds, olives, and peanut butter. Now, those are going to be your healthy fats. So if you like almonds, I personally loved almonds until I did that challenge. Now I don't like almonds anymore. But if you love almonds or walnuts, enjoy those. And another great one that I like is avocado. Avocado is great. It helps the skin as well, and it's just a really good fat to add to your diet. Now, the bad ones I can think of right now are just fast food and fatty meats that we talked about in the proteins. Definitely try to stick away from fast food. Definitely try to stick away from fatty meats, at least too much of it. That's going to lead to more problems. So now, the most important macronutrient is the carbs. Carbs is what's going to make your blood sugar go up, and if your blood sugar is too low, you need to eat carbs to bring it back up, aka sugars. So, pretty much the way it goes is there's simple carbs and there's complex carbs. Now, you always want to try to stick to the complex carbs, which are the good carbs. The simple carbs are stuff that are usually higher in sugar. That's going to drive your blood sugar up way faster than the complex carbs. So the main goal as a diabetic is you want to keep your blood sugars in a good range, but you also want to keep it stable. You don't want to go up, down, up, down, up, down. That's just going to lead to way worse things. So the carbs I've tested out and I've found that keep my blood sugar stable the most are definitely brown rice, whole wheat bread, quinoa, oats, beans, sweet potato, lentils, plain Greek yogurt, and berries. Now with the berries, This is very, very borderline in terms of good and bad. The reason I say that is some fruits are very high in fructose, natural of course, but that's still going to raise your blood sugar up really quick. So berries definitely have really good antioxidants and they really help keep you healthy, but try to limit yourself to not having too much fruit, especially in one sitting, but still add some into your daily diet. Now the bad carbs that I've noticed that launch my blood sugar up are white bread, white rice, ice cream of course, candy of course, soda, juice, and pasta. Now if my blood sugar is low, my go-to is candy. That's what raises my blood sugar up the most. I don't like to have soda and juice just because when my blood sugar is low, my body's craving food. It just wants to feel full because it's in a panic mode. It just wants me to ingest anything. So soda and juice will never get rid of that hunger feeling. So I'll end up drinking too much and I'll just go into too high of blood sugar. So that's why I personally choose candy. Fills me up a little bit. It takes a little longer to chew and eat, and within 15 minutes, it's usually back up to where it needs to be. So always try to stick to these green carbs. Those are what's going to be the best for you. The red ones, you can enjoy them every once in a while. I'm not going to say never have a scoop of ice cream, never have some pasta. If you go to Olive Garden with the family, let's say for a birthday or something, enjoy yourself some pasta. Just make sure you use your medication the way you should, and always correct for the amount of carbs that you will be eating. Now, next thing I want to talk about is free food. So free food, that's pretty much foods that you can eat without having to worry about any medication, about your blood sugar going high. It's pretty much foods with zero carbs. That's pretty much all it is. Proteins are technically free foods, but I'm talking about foods that you can have if your friends are eating some snacks with you, if you're having a night in watching a movie and you want to have some snacks. These are the foods that you want to aim for and the foods that I like to have when I'm eating my snacks. So one is diet soda. Now diet soda is very controversial again. It has, I think it's called aspartame or aspartame, I don't know how to pronounce it, but it has that in it and I've heard a lot of bad things about that. But I still have my Diet Coke. I love Diet Coke. So I still have one every once in a while if I'm laying down and watching a movie or something. I'll have some Diet Coke. Vegetables, also very good. Zero carb drinks and pork rinds. So some examples of zero carb drinks are Powerade Zero. I love Powerade Zero, that's my go-to. Of course, Diet Coke, any diet soda, or just anything with zero carbs in the drink is perfectly fine to drink. And then pork rinds, it's just like chips, so if everyone's eating chips and you want to have some chips but you don't want to raise your blood sugar, pork rinds are a great alternative. So that's pretty much everything you want to eat in the green. Like I said, enjoy yourself every once in a while. Don't be too strict on your diet, because then, unless you can, of course, but sometimes when you're too strict on it, you'll end up binging later, and then that just leads to more complications. So treat yourself, but for the most part, please try to stick to the green foods. This is going to do all the dieting. Now I'm going to go over a checklist that I've created to kind of help you make sure you're doing everything you need to keep your blood sugars down and your A1c in the right spot. But that is the diet, so I'm going to erase this whiteboard, then we're going to go right into the checklist. Perfect, so now that I got everything laid out for you, I'm going to go over in detail each one of these points. Now I do have my own diabetic checklist printed out so I can always keep it on me and I'll never forget everything I need to do. So if you would like it, just go ahead and let me know and I'll send it right over to you. But first things first, I'm going to go over everything you need to complete this checklist and everything you need just to live your daily life. Now the first thing is a glucose meter. Very obvious. I have met diabetics who don't have a glucose meter and they just kind of wing it and just go off the way they feel. Please do not do that. Please get a glucose meter, because that's the number one thing you want to know where your blood sugar is in order to control it. Number two is a food scale. Now the reason I say food scale is because when you do measure out your carbs, if you use the cup method right now where you do, like, let's say a third cup and you use a little cup, you never know if you should go a little over, a little under, if you should level it out. The food scale will take care of that problem for you. Every single nutrition label or anything at all will have a weight, and you always want to go off weight because it's a lot more accurate. So let's say you do the cup method right now and you're going 5 grams over, you might be having a blood sugar spike simply because you're not measuring out your food the right way. So do yourself a favor, you can go on Amazon and get one for like $8 I think, but a food scale will save a lot for you, and I've used my food scale ever since I was diabetic and I've never ever gone back to the cup method. So next thing is insulin medication. So whether you're taking insulin, metformin, Humalog, Novolog, Lance, whatever kind of medication you're taking, make sure you always have some on you. I'm personally on automatic reorder, so every 3 months it'll order even if I don't need it. But I'd rather have too much and not have any at all, because that and the the long run, that's what saves me. Next one is a blood pressure monitor. So that's iffy. If you can get one, great. If not, you can go to CVS, you can go to Walgreens, they'll test it for free where you just sit down and do it yourself. If you don't do that, please make sure you at least test it at the doctor's every time you go. They should, but if they don't, make sure you remind them to. Blood pressure monitor, I have one at home. I like to test it to make sure it's in the right spot. And the last one is A1c Test Kit. Again, I've met diabetics that have no idea what A1c even means. That is a very, very important number. It pretty much tells you how well you're managing diabetes. My A1c, actually, I just tested it out, I think it was last month, my last time I went to the doctor's. And my whole life I've struggled getting that number down. First it was like 10 point something, then I got it down to 8.1. That was the lowest I ever got it down to. And then recently I got very serious about it. I actually got my A1c down to 5.9. 5.9 is the best A1c I've ever seen. I do want to get it better. 5.7 is what they label as a non-diabetic. So if you test a non-diabetic, so it'll be at 5.7 or below. I was at 5.9. Of course, I'll always be a diabetic. That's going to be something I have for my whole life. But seeing that number just took off so much weight off my shoulders. Now, generally, you always want to aim for your A1c to be 7 or below. So if you're under 7, you're doing great. If you're over 7, you want to start checking in, seeing what you can change, what you can do better to bring that down. But try to get your A1c as low as you can, because that just overall makes you feel a lot better. Now, right here I have things that you need to be doing daily and things you need to be doing every 6 months. Now the daily is pretty much what you're doing yourself. The 6 month is just a specialist that you need to see and visit to make sure they're handling everything they can for you. Now daily, checking your blood sugar is the #1 thing. I can't express that enough. Make sure you have your meter, or if you have a continuous glucose monitoring system like I do. I personally use a Dexcom G6. It sends it directly to my phone every 5 minutes so I can see where my blood sugar is. And so far it's been pretty accurate for me. I do test with my meter just to make sure it's always accurate. But with the glucose meter, I can level it out a lot better. So if you don't have one of those, that's perfectly fine. Just make sure you have the normal pricking your finger one. And you want to check your blood sugar in the morning right when you wake up, before each meal. And let's say you're experiencing high blood sugars when you do wake up in the morning. Check one more time at 2 to 3 a.m. to see if it's high or what's happening in the middle of the night so you can adjust your medication accordingly. But always check right when you wake up, before each meal, so you can adjust if you need to. And like I said, if you wake up in the middle of the night, 2 to 3 a.m. again. Now, if your blood sugar is high, let's say you go through a whole week and your blood sugars are just high, you don't know what's happening, every time you check it, it just seems to be 200, 300, whatever it is. Add an extra testing 2 hours after each meal. A big problem I've seen happen is people will just think that their blood sugar is staying high for no reason because they're sick or something. In reality, they're a lot less sensitive to the insulin, so they need to put more before they eat, and that's what brings them back down. So always add a test 2 hours after each meal if you're experiencing high blood sugars. If not, you don't have to add that test, just go back to step 1. But if you do experience it, add that step into your daily routine. Next one is, I already talked about this, weighing out your foods. Very, very important. It's important to know how many carbs you're putting into your body. That determines how much medication you need, how much insulin you need, everything like that. And you can see if maybe this many carbs is too much for you or this is too little for you. You can definitely track everything, and that's going to help you just overall take care of it. Next one, I personally found this one to be a very important one. Do not exceed 50 to 60 grams of carbs per meal. Now this one will depend on the person. I know, for example, Jason Poston, he's a type 1 diabetic. He can eat upwards of 75 to 100 grams per meal and be perfectly fine. His metabolism is so fast that he can just burn through that, but most people's aren't going to be that fast. Mine personally isn't that fast. 50 to 60 is usually when I'll notice the insulin won't even bring it down. I need to add too much insulin, and then it's just a mess. So my personal recommendation, never exceed 50 to 60. Ideally, you want to try to aim for between 25 and 40. That's usually where your insulin can attack it right away, and you're not going to get that blood sugar spike that you would if you had, let's say, 60 or 75. If you do exceed 50 to 60 grams per meal, just please make sure you watch your blood sugar over the next couple of hours to see if you need to add any more medication. Next one is space out your meals evenly. So depending on your schedule, if you're super busy, this might be very tough for you. but just please avoid eating 1 or 2 big meals, because that's always going to add a blood sugar spike. And then when you go let's say 6 hours without eating, your blood sugar is going to drop because you have nothing in you. So that's just going to lead up, down, up, down, up, down. And as diabetic, you don't want that. So if you can, just try to space out as evenly as you can. Aim for 3 to 5 meals a day. That's ideal, but don't just be that person that has no breakfast, no lunch, and then have a huge dinner at the end of the night. That's not ideal. So if you need to, take a 10-minute break, bring your meal to work or whatever it is you have to do, and during a 10-minute break, just get a meal in, adjust according with the medication. Next one is an important one, check your feet every day. As a diabetic, we don't get a lot of blood flow to our feet. That's one of the side effects. That's why you'll notice the first things that go out when you have poorly managed diabetes is your feet and your eyes. So every day you want to check for blisters or sores or anything like that. And I'm not saying if you see a blister or sore to freak out. I'm saying just watch that one over the next few days and make sure it's healing properly. If you notice it starts to get progressively worse, then you got to go to the doctor and make sure you get that checked out. But just check it every day, make sure everything's good down there. I know personally I don't want to lose any toes and I don't want to lose my foot. So just make sure you're always checking that. It's a very important part. And the last one, I know it's much easier said than done. Exercise at least 30 minutes a day. I'm not saying you got to be like me and go to the gym every day and lift weights or anything like that, but at least get like some walking in, walk around the block, find something you like to do that's exercising and go do it at least 30 minutes a day. Like I said, even if you just want to walk around the block, get some fresh air, whatever it is, do that, because exercise is naturally going to bring that blood sugar down. It's going to help your insulin sensitivity, just all sorts of benefits. I don't even have to tell you that one. But like I said, exercise at least 30 minutes a day. Now, I would recommend, like I said, easier said than done, but try to do strength training at least 2 times a day. Personally, that's what helped me get great control of my diabetes, is getting in the gym, doing strength training. Not saying you need to lift weights, but push-ups, sit-ups, sit-up, pull-ups, all those things, just building muscle. The more muscle you have, the more calories you burn, the faster your metabolism. So putting on a little muscle, doing a little bit of resistance training has a load of benefits for you, not even diabetes-wise, just health-wise. So I personally would recommend try to do strength training at least 2 times a day. But if not, please just do normal exercise 30 minutes a day, whether it's cardiovascular, walking, running, whatever it is. Now, that's everything you do daily. So every 6 months, these are the specialists you really need to make sure you're seeing at least every 6 months. Your normal doctor, of course, whether it's an endocrinologist, your normal doctor, whoever tells you how much medication to take or anything like that, you want to make sure you visit them. There, you want to make sure they check your A1c. Like I said, the A1c is super important. You want to get a blood test. That's going to check your cholesterol and just overall your well-being. So you want to make sure you get a blood test. And your blood pressure if you don't have one at home. Usually they will test all those for you, but if you just have to remind them, then make sure you get that done. I had to request a blood test last time I went. He thought I was okay. I said, no, I'd rather get a blood test to make sure I'm okay. So request that blood test every time. Next one is an eye exam. I'm not talking about the normal eye doctor you go to for glasses. I'm talking about a diabetic specialist that they specialize in checking your eyes. I think it's the more insulin you take, or if you have diabetes, something in your retina that gets, I don't even want to say because I'm probably wrong, but there's something in your eye that gets messed up, and that's why diabetics go blind very quickly if they don't take care of it. So you always want to go to a diabetic specialist that can do the eye exam for you, because they'll let you know what's happening, they'll relay the information to your doctor, and you guys can do adjustments accordingly depending between them two. But I know for sure I can't check my eyes alone, so always go get that eye exam. And last but not least, the dentist. Same thing, we don't get a lot of blood flow, so our gums are very sensitive, or it's very easy to get gingivitis, everything like that. So make sure your dentist checks your mouth at least every 6 months. You get your cleaning, you're taking good care of your health, and overall everything. So those are 6-month daily checklist. Now, please make sure you take everything seriously. Please get your glucose monitor, your food scale, your insulin medication. One thing that I personally, this is just a personal tip, you don't have to do this at all, but one thing I found very convenient for me is I got a fanny pack, and in the fanny pack I carry my glucose meter and I carry some candy or some glucose tablets. It's very easy to be on the go and run out of, or not even have anything on you, and you feel a low blood sugar. The fanny pack is very handy. Or let's say I'm hanging out with friends, they want to go to a restaurant and I don't have my glucose meter on me. It's always in my fanny pack now, and the fanny pack carries everything on me. So that's personally a recommendation I would recommend. And that's about it. So thank you so much for watching. Hopefully this gave you one tip or a little heads up, or kind of made you go to the doctors and get that visit in, or do anything like that. That's the main goal of this video. Like I said, it is Diabetics Awareness Month. It's coming to an end. So make sure you give your diabetics some love this month. Next month too, we'll take it all we can get. But thank you so much for watching. If I come up with any more tips, I'll gladly share it with you guys, or if anything comes back up, I'll share it with you guys. But that's going to be it for today, and I'll see you guys for the next one.